Hello everyone, Ogre27 Kane here today, and we're going to do a review of Star Wars The Force Unleashed for Nintendo Switch. Let's do a real quick overview, find out what this game is, what it's all about. This game originally came out on a ton of different consoles, the flagship console version being the Xbox 360 PS3 version. I did not play this version, which is the Nintendo Wii version. I only ever played those, so this is a pretty big treat for me. I'll be honest, I never gave this version a shot. I always thought it was inferior and only ever played the Xbox 360 version. That one, of course, was my favorite. I realize now how big a mistake that was because this game is pretty darn awesome. Now this, of course, has all the bells and whistles of a remastered up-res port, and it even includes all the Wii controls with it. So, let's start off with the gameplay. Alright, well the general gameplay loop in this sees you going to a planet, performing a mission or objective, and then going back to your starship, upgrading yourself, and then going to another planet. Kind of a boring loop, but it's all based around the story. And the story in this game is really good. The action and adventure are very fast-paced as well. I never once had a pacing issue or felt like there was filler or a slowdown to the story. In the Xbox 360 version, there are a lot of stealth-type moments, and it really makes you play the game a little slower and a little more aware of everything. This version highly encourages you to jump in it and go crazy, and it is a blast. Everything about this screams fun. The other thing I want to say about the gameplay loop in this is that it is designed around rewarding you with the story itself, and that is probably the best part. The story in this game is very loosely based and open, and it allows itself to basically just fit into its own world, but it keeps you wanting to see the next spot. On top of that, the action and the combat are one of a kind. You feel like a god in this game. This game really makes you feel like you are one of the top Jedi, and the force powers you have are simply amazing. This definitely has some of the funnest Star Wars gameplay you will play in any Star Wars game. Well, let's get into the next category now, the story. And the story on this game is pretty darn fantastic as well. The game starts out with Darth Vader looking to execute the rest of the Jedi. He uncovers a certain Jedi on a planet and he tracks him to it, Kashyyyk. After basically annihilating everything in his path, he discovers a young boy. This boy is Starkiller. He then takes him and raises him as his own apprentice and sets him forth on a mission to help him defeat the Emperor, or so you think. The first half of this game sees you with the intent of a Sith and pretty evil intentions, and by the second half of the game it presents you with a moral dilemma on what kind of person you actually want to be, whether you want to be a Jedi or a Sith, and how you want to go about taking care of business. I absolutely love this, and it gives you two really good unique endings. Now yes, there is a sequel to this game, and some people like it and some people don't. And there is a canon ending that sequel fits in with. But that doesn't mean that it takes anything away from your own personal choice and the way you want Starkiller to develop. I love that. This is one of the most unique stories in all of Star Wars, and it gives us a lot to do. So let's get into graphics and animations now. So the graphics in this are basically old Wii PS2 era graphics, up-res to 1080p, and with an increased frame rate. But honestly for me, that doesn't really bother me much. At first, like I said, I only played the 360 version. I really thought graphics were everything back when I was growing up. As I've gotten older, I've realized that the gameplay is far more important. And looking at the two in comparison now, they're very, very equal games. The company that created this was a very competent company, and they should be rewarded for their efforts. They should be remembered for it. So, all in all, I'm really happy Aspyr chose this version to bring to us. And yes, as you can see here, the animations are a little stilted. It's to be expected from this era of games. They were basically just starting to hone in on what people could actually look like in a video game, and the Wii was not the most powerful console on the market. As a matter of fact, looking at this now, this is probably one of the better looking games on the Wii, and that says a lot. It's a console designed for 480p. The animations on most of its library are not very good. You really have to look to Nintendo's titles to get anything decent, such as Mario or Zelda or Metroid. So, all in all, I do believe there could have been a little bit more work put into it, but I think they did a really good job, and I'm very happy with the performance of the game. I haven't had it crash on me a single time, and everything runs very smooth with very low loading times. So let's jump into the next category, combat, and this is my favorite category by a mile. So the combat in this game is very, very fast-paced, and at first I thought it was just going to be a single button masher mindless brawler, but I was pretty wrong. Once you begin to incorporate and utilize the Force properly, and you begin to utilize all of its techniques, this game has a very, very broad combat aspect to it, and it's really fun. It's probably the deepest part to the game. As you play further and further, you begin to unlock new abilities that add to your combo repertoire. And on top of that, all of the abilities that you gain are a mixture of Jedi and Sith. So it's up to you. If you want to use Force Lightning or Force Choke to kill an enemy, then by all means, go ahead and choke him to death. But if you want to hack him down with a lightsaber and go old school duel, then by all means, please, this game encourages that. It's really fun, and I love the combat in this game. It's definitely one of the highlights. On top of that, as you can see right here, the game has a ragdoll physics engine to it that allows the environment to be manipulated. You can pick up just about any object and throw it at any enemy. You can pick up any enemy and throw them at any enemy. You can utilize different force powers to manipulate the environment to impact other enemies. I absolutely adore the aspect of this. And at first I thought it was kind of cheesy, but then you get into a room and you destroy everything and you throw it around and you realize how much fun it is. A lot of times I would just stay in the room after killing enemies, exploring by destroying everything. You can also stack the objects and use them to get to certain items and upgrades as well. The last thing I want to mention about combat is that all of the upgrades take place between levels on your ship. So, if you have a certain ability you really like, don't be afraid to upgrade it, because it will come in handy and you'll probably use it on your next mission. So, let's hit the next category now, the controls and audio. So the control scheme in this game is pretty crazy. The default, of course, is for you to use the Joy-Cons and play it like the Wii, and it works well for what they're intending. But I'll be honest, coming from the 360 version, I felt way more at home using the Pro Controller. And the button layout works really well for the Pro Controller. You can use the Force and manipulate objects through using the other control stick and the D-pad itself, and you can manipulate your character and your camera all through the same aspects as well. There's not any reason to use one control scheme other than the other than the fact that you like one more than the other. So with that being said, they couldn't have done any better. Let's hit up on the audio now. Well, they definitely got John Williams to score this, and it shows, because the audio in this game feels like a Star Wars movie. From the opening cutscene, which starts just like any Star Wars movie, to the music that plays throughout. Every scene, every fight, every area you go to feels unique. They feel epic. They feel like the environment is part of the music, and the music is part of the characters. On top of all of that, the voice acting in this game is pretty top-notch. I really like the main character and his voice actor, and I really wish they'd bring him back in one of the other Star Wars games. He's a pretty cool guy. Well, let's do the conclusion now. Well, my conclusion is that I really wasn't sure what Aspyr was doing when they brought this game up. I was pretty upset when I found out it wasn't the 360 PS3 version. I was not going to give it a chance, and I wasted my time, and I did not get the limited run version on release. I highly regretted that, because it cost me a pretty penny to get this game later on. And to be completely honest, I'm glad I did get it, because it's worth every penny. Whether you pay the $40 for this, or whether you pay the $80 eBay price for this, it is totally worth it. And if you need the nostalgia fix, this is definitely a fantastic version to play, and it's very competent. I'm impressed at how good this version actually was, and I just kick myself in the butt for not giving it a chance back in the day. Well, that does it for my review of Star Wars: The Force Unleashed for Nintendo Switch. An absolute gem, and I'm super grateful Aspyr continues to impress me with their work. Well, thank you for watching today's video. It was a blast to make. I upload every single Monday. If you enjoyed this, please like and subscribe. And have a great rest of your day. This is Ogre 27 Kane signing out.